top of the hour. So, within the first 15 minutes of the show, anything that could have happened that did happen right before the show, we kind of let you guys know about it. Then the post live show doesn't have that stuff in there, so not too much about that. But today we're going to be talking about 7 ways that problem solving is a lot better than having money. Granted, having money is a fantastic situation to be in, especially because a lot of problems can be solved by having money. But how to solve your problems and limit the usage of your money, or how to utilize your money in a more leveraging fashion to get you more from the money that you've spent, these are ways that we're going to be discussing today. And we'll start off by asking you guys a question. And, buy more silver. There goes Michael. Michael's monitoring the YouTube side of things. Special shout out to Steven on Twitter X. Special shout out to Danny Stephan and Mr. Pibbs on Twitch side of things. Silver is undervalued as a comparison to gold. You can buy more silver than gold for the same quantity of money as 1 ounce of gold. And ironically, if you had gold billiards, the or silver billiards, the silver is a lot more utilizable than the gold. Um, because $5 worth of silver is $5 worth of silver, but $5 worth of gold is either a one-stop shop at a pawn shop or a diamond and jeweler store. Well, why do some people with seemingly everything, the money, the status, the possessions, report feeling empty and unfulfilled? We see the outward signs of success, but inward they feel haunted by a sense that something is missing. When a true crisis hits, one that can't be paid off or ignored, that illusion of control is shattered. It reveals a fundamental truth. Possessing the answers money can't buy is not the same as having the tools to solve the problems it can't. So, what we're looking at is what are the tools and why is it a greater predictor of happiness than wealth? Now, Michael's pointing out that silver is at about $47.51. And he's thinking that silver will reach $55 per ounce real soon. Gold just went up to a little over $4,000 again, so they're offsetting one another. When silver is more than 10% of the value of gold, you already know that things are shifting. So again, I tell you, instead of gold, go silver because you'll have more ounces, and when the value per ounce goes up, you'll have more gain. Even if you do it ETF style and you buy more shares of silver ounces, you're still going to have more when the silver value goes up. You're still going to have more. But from a young age, those of us that are baby boomers and the generation after that, Gen Xers, we were told a simple and seductive story. We were told work hard, climb the ladder of success, and get rich. Money, the story goes, is ultimately the report card for a life well lived, the key to freedom, security, and happiness. The message is clear. If you can just get enough money, your problems will dissolve. I beg to differ because I think if I was to ask Puffy and Kelly, like multi-millionaires, how things is going right about now, I'm more than sure with the pretty long prison sentences that they're not doing as good as they would have hoped. This is one of the most powerful myths of our time. While money is important for meeting our basic needs, and if we were multimillionaires or billionaires, we might be able to swing our weight around with our money and influence individuals that have less money than us to do the things that we want them to do. But the story we're sold isn't about having enough, it's about having more and always more. And let's be real, if we're starting from the bottom and we're working our way up, somebody else always has more money than we do. Someone else always has more control over certain scenarios than we do. And navigating that is going to take a little bit more than money to be successful because our goal is to get the money out of their pocket into ours. Think about it. Michael says the key is being debt free. Well, that might be one of the keys on the keychain, but it's not the only thing because you can be debt free, broke as fuck, and not have to worry about the little bit of things that you do have in your possession to not be repossessed because you don't owe anybody anything. But you're also eating cat food because you can't afford to buy tuna. I mean, just being debt free isn't the totality of life because you could be debt free and starving to death. You could be debt free and no heat, no lights. You know what I'm saying? No water, no pot to pee in, and no window to throw it out of. But you could be debt free. You could owe nobody and still be suffering. Is I want everybody to be successful as long as you are not as successful as me. I beg to differ. I would prefer for them to be more successful than I am because of me so that they will provide for me their gratitude for helping them be successful. Almost like the church, except beneficial. Can't afford tuna, buy the cat. But you can only cook the cat one time. Make some egg rolls with it. So, for a long time, research seemed to support a limit to money's effect on happiness. Michael has said on the show plenty of times that only poor people says that money can't buy happiness. A famous 2010 study by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton found that emotional well-being tends to plateau at an annual income of around 75,000 a year. However, more recent research from a 2021 uh, study by Matthew Killingsworth suggested that for most people, well-being continues to rise with income, further supporting what Michael's saying. Then you would be envious of them. Well, no, you would believe that if I aided people with being successful and they're more successful than I am, that I would be jealous of their success because compared to what kind of life that I have, that their life is better. However, my goal in life is to make a legacy where my success is the success of the people around me. So if the people who made themselves multimillionaires did so because they came to my podcast, I would actually be more successful than if I was the only person on my podcast that became successful. Ironically, I could only have $1 million and everyone else that came to my podcast could have $10 million each. But if I got my $1 million from each one of those people giving me $5 because they appreciated how much they got from me, I still would be a millionaire. So the thing is, it's not so much how much I have in comparison to the next person. Do I have enough where I don't have to struggle? Do I have enough where my children don't have to struggle? Do I have enough to pass on to my grandchildren? And if the answer to all of those questions is yes, then doesn't matter if someone else has more than me. That's where greed sets in. Now, if I was dirt poor and everybody else was rich because of me, and I couldn't get a buck from anybody, then I'd be a little bit upset. But if you are financially successful because of the advice that I gave you and I'm not taking my own advice, the only person that I can be envious of, well, not envious of, but mad at would be myself because I should have taken my own advice, right? He said they're flying around in their Gulf Stream. That's true. They could be flying around in their Gulf Streams. And when I'm flying around with this one, we'll be golfing together. The goal is not to be better than everyone else. That's an unrealistic expectation. The goal is to not need for the basic necessities. The goal is to not suffer in emergencies or government failures or the abnormalities of life. He said I'm flying business class. I have come to find that there's not much difference on certain flights between business class and first class. First class might give you a couple of glasses of free alcohol on the plane in addition to your flight that you don't have to pay extra for. But the seat for first class might be more spacious, but cost probably three times more than economy. So if I'm flying business class, I'm going to try to just upgrade it to first class because I mean they're going to charge you like 20 or $30 a glass for some liquor. And if I can get 3 cups of coffee in a 1 hour flight, I could probably get me a bottle if I'm doing a 15-hour flight, which would be the same price as flying first class. Not to mention, if I'm flying first class, especially on a 15-hour flight, I'd get some damn good food. Probably have at least one plate of food included in the flight since I'm going to be their hostage the whole time we're flying across the Atlantic. But hey, if they're flying around with hover golf carts and um, you know, I'm doing it the old fashioned way, it's cheaper. The cheaper I do it, the better it is for me because why do I have to waste money to get to where I got to go to outdo someone else when they have more to waste than I do? I think it's more financially responsible to spend what you need to get where you're trying to go and then just enjoy life the rest of the way. Because you go broke faster showing off for other people. The experience is the experience. So flying first class once in your life just to see how it feels. Fine. Live life. But flying first class every time just to say that you only travel first class, that's a waste of money. You can fly economy, do it. I'll travel with a service dog. I get 2 seats for free. So do I have to fly first class or do I just fly economy and take up a whole row by myself? Hey, you know what I mean? So instead of spending $300 for the whole row, which is equivalent to spending $300 for one seat in first class, I could just pay $100 for the whole row and put my dog in the rest of the row. Because they don't tell the stewardess that a dog is getting on board until the dog gets on board. Then when they realize, yeah, there's not enough space, they're like, all right, let's just relocate some folks. It is what it is. Is flying in their own 767 custom. Oh, fuck all that shit. You know how much money you're wasting owning a plane? If you're not leasing that some bitch out where you're getting paid off of that bitch, having a plane is a waste of money. Renting a hangar, if you don't own the hangar and renting the hangar out to other people, it's a waste of money. So the goal is not to waste money. The goal is to, because anything that costs you and doesn't turn a profit is a liability. The goal is to have more income generating assets than you have financial liabilities. Yeah, it's good to say I have my own jet at the airport. I don't live at the fucking airport though. It's a 1 hour drive, 30, 40 minutes, depending on what city you're in, to get to the place that the plane is located at. But the damn car is outside, you know? Is it cheaper or more lavish to have your own car out front that you can get in and drive whenever you want to, or to have a chauffeur out front that costs more than an Uber driver? Does it matter if you let yourself out of the car or that somebody opens the door for you? Does it matter if you ride in the front or if you ride in the back? Personally, I like riding in the back. If I'm not driving, I prefer to ride in the back. Weird position, but it's my understanding. Nope, no helicopters. It is my understanding that allegedly royalty rides in the back. So the help allegedly rides in the front. Modern Western style, privileged, the children ride in the back and the adults ride in the front. So everybody wants to sit in the front so that they're not self perceived as a child. But truth be told, the people in the front of the car die faster than the people in the back. And one of the reasons why I like sitting in the back is because I get to sit in the middle. Now, before we continue with tonight's discussion, why do you think I like sitting in the middle? When the car is T-boned, the person by the door dies. If I'm sitting in the middle, the driver's gone, the shotgun is gone, whoever's sitting was by the window is gone. But me, I'm crawling out of that bitch. There's logic behind my reasoning. He said, "Happy Saturday." I know, I know. A 2023 follow up collaboration about happiness versus money between the researchers clarified that for the happiest majority, more money does correlate with more happiness, which proves what Michael has been saying. And people always thought that he was full of shit, but no, this is the truth. And I'd never doubted him because I knew. Oh no, sir, I am not a backseat driver. You take us there, however the fuck you take us there. I'm gonna tell you where we're going, and I'll pay for the tickets if it ever occurs. And we get there when we get there. You know what I mean? I left early enough where we should get there early, and if we get there late, I'm fashionably late. Am I gonna say step on it? No. But I am going to let them know that if you decide to exceed the speed limit by a decent amount, I am not going to complain. Because then you're like seeing yourself flying through the window. No, no. I didn't say I ride back seat with no seat though. I said I ride back seat in the middle because I'm not flying out of nowhere. Unless it's a zombie apocalypse situation. Nah, not I, said the black guy. With the way things are going right now, we're probably going to have to start preparing for a whole industrial shutdown. Wait and see. Then when I tell you I told you so, they're gonna be like, "Damn, I got to go to this podcast. It'd be foreshadowing the future." I be trying to tell y'all. Now, based on the study that we were just talking about, the more money you get, the more happy you are. But for an already unhappy group of individuals, if you are already miserable, happiness increases with income and then plateaus at around $100,000 a year. So if you are not a happy camper before your ass got money, you'll be smiling until you reach 100,000, and then you'll be finding rich ways to bitch about life. The real reason isn't the money itself. It's the myth that money is the ultimate end goal. Money is not the end goal. The lifestyle that's paid for by the money is supposed to be partially the end goal, right? So when you believe that myth completely, you risk falling onto what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. Humans are amazing at adapting to new circumstances. A rise of income, getting a pay raise, or a new car brings a spike of happiness. But a spike is an increase that then decreases back down because you get used to that shit. And the feelings fade quickly as it becomes the new normal. Riding around in a Bentley every day, a Bentley just becomes a fucking car, especially when you're servicing them bad boys. It becomes a financial disaster when you're paying high ass insurance premiums. It becomes an extreme headache when somebody crashes into it and they don't have insurance. You know, you then need the next big thing to get another temporary high, running on a hamster wheel that you only look at like a ladder, thinking that you are climbing the ladders of success, but you're not actually doing anything other than spinning your wheels. Exactly. Like boredom, finding things to do since you have all this free time. You notice a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them find themselves excessive alcoholism, drug addiction, rehab. Why? They've got nothing else to do with life. They're bored. They don't have to work. They don't have any responsibility. Everything is handled for them. They have enough money that the money is handled by people who are paid to not only keep track of the money, but keep more money coming in. So you don't even have to manage your own budget. All you have to do is walk outside and live. Everything you touch is yours. Everywhere you want to go, you get to. There's no conflict in life because if somebody challenges you, you buy their boss and fire them. However, you also only go places where you're known for your financial status, so nobody challenges who you are. So you very rarely have stress. So the most stressful things that happen in a lifestyle like that is the idea that the money's gone or it's not coming in the way it used to, or you spent too much of it in too short of a time and you don't have enough to cover the spread. Oh, he says he does paintings. So you get that endorphin hit every time you buy new arts and other such things from the estate sales. That's a good way to keep life going. You hold on, you get it, you feel the love for a little bit, then you sell that shit. And you got to understand that endorphin happens every time you impulse buy. If there's something that you want in life and then you impulse buy it, when you impulse buy it, at the end of that scenario, it's there for the moment, but it doesn't matter until a judgment happens in your favor. Then you're in a position where you're celebrating the action that you got. Outside of that, once that moment is over, it's like getting a trophy. It's like getting a ribbon. It's like the Olympic gold medalists who don't wear their medals every day. It's like completing that marathon. It's the photo of the marathon, the trophy from the marathon, and then maybe a congratulations card on a shelf off into the middle of nowhere, and that's it. That's it. It's a story from the past. Nobody pays attention to, but that's what it is. He says, I'm the painter. That's good to do. If you're painting and selling your paintings, the money you get from that gives you a whole nother level of endorphins because people value what you do. But this reveals the need for a deeper, more stable source of fulfillment in individuals who don't have much going on in their lives. The most valuable asset you can develop isn't in a bank account, it's the power of creative problem solving. Cultivating this one skill can bring a level of confidence and happiness that money can never buy. And it prevents you from making financially devastating mistakes that will cost you the money that you've been building over the years. I buy frames at the estate sale cheaper than Michael's. You can buy everything at an estate sale cheaper than a department store. but it's good to know that you shop at Michael's. I shop at Kohl's. um, the turning point for many isn't a gradual awakening, but a sudden collision with reality. He said, need love. Everybody needs love. But one of the problems that we have with needing love is that we're desperate for attention and validation. And we're going to be talking about that on one of our upcoming shows. Especially men are desperate for attention and validation, respect and appreciation. And the fact is that it's because it is so hard to find, while we can exist on autopilot without it, the one time that we are acknowledged, especially by the opposite sex, we don't know what to do. We melt. We fall head over heels. We become unnecessarily loyal to an individual that validated us one time because we spend 50, 70, 80 years never getting that acknowledgement from anybody. And it's crazy. However, that's kind of where things are in our society. When your primary tool is money, you tend to see every problem as a nail to be hammered with cash. Just throw some money at it. A business deal going south, hire a better lawyer. Personal conflict, a lavish gift should smooth things over. Maybe a vacation. This isn't actually solving problems, it's plastering over them. And some people are okay with that, but it doesn't actually fix the unresolved issues in the engagement. It's building a beautiful facade on a foundation of sand. It's definitely not sturdy. And the floods of conflict will wash away years of financial investment. The true test comes when a problem arises that money cannot fix. And you see it in those dramas where the rich person is dating a non rich person, and the rich person is trying to do things the rich way, and the poor person is not receiving any of that because they are content with life without money, and they're fixing things and doing things that doesn't require the financial overflow, which teaches the rich person that the simplest things in life go a lot further than money. Now, let's not lie to ourselves. You need a lot of money to live these days. And there is no reason why you should not be chasing the maximum quantity of money that you can get in a lifetime in a responsible fashion. However, throughout that process, you need to be able to not be so codependent towards financial gain and be more independently rooted in human relationships and the emotional needs of an individual. Imagine a loved one struggling with a deep personal crisis. Now, the instinct might be to offer a financial solution: the best doctors, a luxury retreat, new apartment. I actually had a family member that was telling me that they had a problem and they might not have enough money to pay for their education. I was talking to my father about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I could put some money up for that." I said could, but I also said let's see what happens though, because we got like a whole month before that situation comes to a head, right? Now, phone call a couple hours later, situation resolved itself. I didn't have to do anything. Just listen to the problem and be supportive, emotionally supportive, not financially supportive. Well, what happens when you're offering all of these best things in life to somebody and those offers are rejected? What happens when the person doesn't need things but connection? They don't need anything else, just connection. What happens when they need someone to listen to understand, and to just present themselves in the moment of darkness as a ray of light, not a financial backbone? This is where the profound Poverty of wealth is revealed. Faced with a real human problem, a financial empire can be worthless. This aligns with a major finding from a Harvard study of adult development. For over 85 years, this study has shown that the quality of our relationships is the single biggest predictor of long term health and happiness, more than money, fame, or IQ. This highlights the fundamental limit of money. It's a tool for external problems, but most of life's deepest challenges are internal. It can buy a house, but it's not going to buy a home. It can buy a company, but it's not going to buy connections. It can create an illusion of control because desperate people around you will do what you want them to do for the right price. But that illusion shatters when you're faced with a problem requiring vulnerability, creativity, and genuine human engagement. Look at Diddy yet again. Money went so far, and now he's doing at least 20 years in prison. All the people that was under his financial influence not visiting him on Sundays. Well, it's good to say find a balance in life. It's good to say finding a balance in life. Um, One of the things that I notice is that while on paper finding balance is what we hope to strive for, we typically tip scales in one direction or another. Whatever we do, we go all in on. If we're going to make ourselves financially successful, we drive for capitalism to the fullest. If we're going to be family oriented, we drive through all of the efforts of being a family. And that's one of the reasons why women struggle with being career women and being family women at the same time, because human instinct is to tunnel vision focus on one or the other. She can't be the best CEO person and be the best mother and wife at the same time, because you're either going to have to marry the job and spend more time on demand at work, or stay loyal to the family and sacrifice promotional opportunities and ways of getting raises, because instead of being at the job when the job needs somebody to run the company, you're at the house with the family because the family needs you. So the fact is, when you say find balance, balance is hard to determine, and it is going to shift life by life. What you're financially capable of affording to do away with is going to be determining how much of your personal life you can invest in versus how much of the financial life you need to focus on. And you ask, how much money you going to give Uncle? Uncle ain't getting nothing from me, bro. I gotta ask Unc. I'm gonna give you some financial advice, but how much have you invested in me, Unc? Because Unc ain't gave me a dollar. I ain't got a dollar for you, Unc. Make sure y'all like and subscribe as we go through this. The journey towards meaningful solutions begins not with an answer, but with a question. Oh, that's a good question. Can you buy a hitman? Now, one of the things I've always thought about this before. One of the things that I think is interesting about wealthy people is that they can afford hitmen. However, what is a hitman used for? To eliminate individuals that you cannot control with money. Think about it now. It doesn't matter if you're getting revenge on them. It doesn't matter if you're taking them out because they betrayed you. It is a hitman is used to eliminate an individual you cannot control with money. And in some situations, when money is not involved, and it's all about loyalty and respect and rank and honor and all of this. They have no respect for you. They don't honor you. They're not dedicated to your authority. You cannot control them. That's what hitmen are for, to take out targets that cannot be controlled. So that still points out the dynamic that there are limits to power. There are limits to wealth where it doesn't run every situation. And wherever that situation falls short, that's where the hitmen come in. And right after the hitmen is the cleanup crew. Is that most people can't find balance in life, the pendulum effects. Yeah, because they're either going to be swinging towards a, a high capital gain and growth, or they're going to be swinging towards living the life of Riley. It starts with learning new ways of seeing the world through structured problem solving eyes. That's going to be the way that you're going to get closer to balance. The first most powerful lesson is that most of us are terrible at defining our problems. There was a one of the young ladies on the show in the comment section. Matter of fact, hold on, I'm gonna get her. Because y'all be thinking I don't be paying attention to y'all in the comment section. Bayside, I tell you, Bayside and Mr. Satellite. Special shout out to Mr. Satellite. I be in the comment section and I be seeing what y'all be going down on. And let me go ahead. Let me scroll through my comment section real quick. But she was just here. Miss Jasmine. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it dirty. Hold on. I gotta get it. I'm gonna put her in the comment section so that y'all can see what I ain't even trying to stunt. This right here. We're gonna take this off. There. Oops. And then click. I just want to put that out there. She said, "Thank you. This is great," and that happened 5 days ago. Just want to throw that out there. That we don't have the capability to talk about our feelings because I told her on. I said, "Hey, we got a live podcast. You can come up. You can ask any kind of question you want to ask. We work on personal." That was a comment on one of the personal development shows, and she really appreciated that information. However, she hasn't come to the show to really ask because that show that she commented on was minimalism, the minimalism show. And the minimalism show, we were talking about how um, uh, overdoing it in life, packing it on too much, causes you unnecessary stress. And by doing away with the things that you cannot control and stop stressing out about stuff that does not affect you, that you can put more of your effort towards things that actually impact you and have less effort needed with more results, where you can find yourself with more energy, more rested. And by the time she got through the show, she was like, "Oh wow, this is good." Yeah, I know. That's why I wrote it. But we see symptoms and we mistake it for disease, and we don't actually address the problems themselves. And that's one of the issues that we've had to struggle with trying to get over. And it develops a lot of symptoms to a lot of new problems. And then we end up only treating the symptoms without ever addressing the core problem. For example, you might think my problem is that I'm overwhelmed at work, but that's a vague feeling, not a diagnosis. A systemic approach forces you to slow down and define the actual problem clearly. A better definition would be that I am consistently failing to meet my deadlines, which is causing stress and negative feedback from my manager. Now, the first is a cry of frustration. The second is an objective, specific diagnosis that points towards a solvable issue. Saying that your job sucks versus being overworked on the job because you put too much effort into enabling your colleagues to not support the effort. Big difference. You might work on a shift with a lot of customer complaints because you can't be everywhere at once, but you recognize that you proactively force yourself to be in every place at once, and your colleagues back off of their responsibilities and allows you to take over multiple stations at the same time, forcing you to work harder than them. It's not because they're assholes, it's because you proactively choose to overstep their position. A lot of times in life, when you are dealing with a group effort, you might have to fail with the team so that the team get off their ass and perform. Now that don't work with a college grade because if you're trying to maintain a 4.0 average and you're partnered with somebody that's got a 1.9, you're going to do all the work and they're going to be along for the ride because you don't want to fail. But as an adult in life, it don't matter if we get this project done. If my boss put me with you and you're not applying yourself, wherever you're responsible, that's where my work stops. And when the boss comes to me and asks me why is the project delayed, I will explain what information is not present and who was assigned to that information. And then recommend that if we cannot get better performance from the producer of that information, that we should replace that person with someone who performs. At no point am I responsible for doing extra work. At no point am I responsible for picking up their slack. And since it ain't my responsibility to fire him or hire anybody else, at no point am I going to have to deal with the fallout of this shit not going right because I'm reporting to somebody else who's reporting to somebody else. Right? So why overwork yourself? Now, the next thing that you got to think about is you must identify the root cause of whatever your problem is. A powerful technique for this is the 5 ways. This technique was developed by Sakichi Toyota, not the car, but it really close. He said, failing to be at work on time. Okay, so I'm good at that. I find something to do minutes before the podcast starts and then find myself looking at the clock and 10 minutes passed before I was supposed to go. 10 minutes have passed after I was supposed to go live. Either way, though, I answer to myself. If I had a group here with me, I'd probably be early so that I'm not the last one here. I'd probably be ready to tee this bad boy off on time because I'm not the only one here. Every time I've gone live with a guest, I've gone live on time because I value that other person's time. But I got nothing pressing me to do what I got to do. So the other individuals motivate me to be here on time. But when you think about failing to be at work on time, you're failing to be at work on time because of the route that you choose, the traffic that you know exists between your house and your job, the time that you decide to get ready for work, to leave the house, the time you decide to go to bed, which is the reason why the time that you got up that morning, which led you to not having enough time to get ready for work, which led you to leaving the house late, which led you to no matter what route you took, you're not getting there on time, which leads you to getting to work late. So it's a lot of choices that you made, but to deflect from responsibility, we'll blame it on the traffic. We'll blame it on construction. We'll blame it on whatever we can blame it on to get a don't worry about it from the boss or don't let it happen again from the boss. when this isn't the first time you've done it this week. He said, what's the solution? The solution, you want to state the problem and ask why repeatedly to drill past the surface symptoms. And it's a lot like you see on the TV when an adult is talking to a child, and the only thing the child does in this conversation is ask why. And every time the adult provides a response, the child just simply asks why. And they keep going until the adult gets pissed off or the adult says, I don't know. The answers usually don't make sense from the adult, and they continue to ask why until we get to the core point. The adult doesn't know why we do what we do. We just do it that way, right? So, take for example, we have a problem. I am consistently failing to meet my deadlines, right? Why is that? Because my workload has increased and I'm often interrupted. Why is that? Because my team took on a new project without hiring more people, and our open plan office makes it even easier for anyone to ask questions at any time to anybody, right? Now, why is that? Because as a company, we prioritize new sales over operational capacity and have a culture that values consistent availability. Why is that? Because we haven't established clear processes for managing project intake or communication, leading to a reactive and chaotic environment. There it is. The surface problem of being overwhelmed is revealed to be a systemic issue of poor processes. When you locate the problem in your own approach or environment, you become an agent of change. Now, we're not Special Agent J and Special Agent K from Men in Black, but you will be making change. That doesn't require that flashy thingy. You're not going to just like stare into the, it's not going to be one of those things. But the fact is, you're going to start making some changes. Either remember to like and subscribe. That is right. Keep mashing those reaction buttons. Show some support for the channel. Sounds like excuses to me. There are a bunch of excuses. But one of the things that excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got them and they all stink. However, if you get to the bottom of why the situation isn't going the way it's supposed to go, you can manage some of those excuses. For example, if your car ran out of gas, why did it run out of gas? The excuse is going to be there wasn't enough gas in the car. Why wasn't there enough gas in the car? The excuse might be because you didn't stop at the gas station and put gas in the car. Is another excuse could be that the fuel gauge is broken. You didn't know how much gas was in the car. Another another excuse could be that you didn't have enough money to put gas in the car. Another excuse could be that the distance you were traveling that you gauged for the journey might have been you thought you were going to make it, but you got rerouted from the GPS and you ran out of gas. All different excuses. And all of those excuses, while doesn't change the fact that when you had the opportunity to put gas in your car before you started taking that long journey and putting extra gas in the trunk so that in case you have it, in case you need it, you have it. The fact is, the other excuses that were utilized are symptoms that could be rectified. Map out your journey ahead of time. Check out gas stations along the route. Put a gas can in the car. Leave earlier so that you can stop and top off the car. Bring extra money. Leave the house with a full tank of gas. All of these things solve each one of the excuses, which means that the next time that you have this situation occur, you should not have these excuses. Exactly. Get up earlier. Why, daddy, why? That's what she said. Um, when you locate the problem in your own approach or your environment, because your environment could be influencing the negative experience that you're having. You become an agent, right? This process itself can be therapeutic. The fog of anxiety begins to part because even without a solution, you finally understand the real problem. Remember when we used to get pulled over, beaten up, handcuffed, and thrown in jail just because we had good tans? Y'all remember the 80s, right? 80s and early 90s. We knew what the problem was. Remember in 2019, Mr. I Can't Breathe? We knew what the problem was. Even though we didn't have a solution for 30 years, we knew what the problem was. A well defined problem is already halfway solved. Once you understand the root cause, you need a toolbox of potential solutions and the motivation to put in effort to utilize those tools. This is a departure from the one dimensional money first approach, right? It requires moving to the next steps of the process. Brainstorm multiple solutions and then evaluate the pros and cons. He said, well, you better start walking. Actually, nowadays, if you're willing to wake that weight, you can call roadside assistance. They act while so many people are paying for AAA. I have found that you can dial emergency services in just about every state on while you're on the interstate, and they will bring you 1 to 2 gallons of gas for free. You ain't got to pay for shit. Now, you want 5 gallons of gas? They might charge you for that, but couple gallons just to get your car started to the next gas station, they'll put a couple gallons of gas in your car. If you tell them that your car gets terrible gas mileage, they might just give you 4 gallons on principle, just to make sure that you get to where you're trying to go. Especially if you look at the GPS, like, oh yeah, I'm in between the last gas station and the next gas station. Like if you're on your way down to Miami and there's like a 30-mile stretch from the last gas station to the next city and no off ramp on either direction, and it takes a gallon of gas to turn the car on, they're gonna have to give you 3 gallons of gas because you're gonna need 25 gallons to get into town and another 5 gallons to, well, no, you're gonna need 25 miles to get into town and another 5 miles to drive around. So you're gonna need a gallon and a half to get to the gas station, but you need a gallon to start the car because y'all know there's like a 1 to 2 gallon reservoir below the reservoir. So when your fuel light is on, you still have a little bit of gas left. When all of that run out, they gotta put enough gas in the car to start the car, and then they gotta put another 2 gallons on top of that to get to your destination. So look, yeah, I've been there before. I just want y'all to understand. But you can get that for free. But don't get mad. Think of it as a learning experience. You get your cardio on doing that. Damn right it don't happen again. Damn right it won't happen again. I got gas cans in the trunk, keeping gas cans. We start doing long distance journeys. We're doing full tank of gas, extra spare tires, and extra gas in the trunk, if not in the back seat. So that journey, we ain't got no problems. Outside of the alternator breaking or some shit like that, we ain't got no problem. The key is brainstorming. And the key to brainstorming is going to be to prioritize quantity over quality at first. Reason being, no idea is too small or too stupid. You can be unrealistic though, but for the sake of, you do not devalue certain ideas that are intentionally driven towards the success of the problem, resolving the problem. This process encourages exploration rather than demanding an immediate perfect answer. Now, this allows for the whole family to get involved when you guys have a conflict of interest that negatively impacts the whole family, like getting everybody to their engagements on time, sharing one vehicle, allowing everyone in the family to put their recommendation in allows for people to feel involved, even if you don't use their idea or if you use their idea as a backup plan, because that also works well. Even if your idea might not be the best idea, it could be a backup plan to the best idea because no plans ever go according to plan. He said, I always carry 5 gallons of unleaded with me. First of all, I'm operating with premium. Second of all, 5 gallons is not enough. uh 5 gallons in a 10-gallon car is gonna give you half a tank of gas, yes, but most SUVs and other trucks and stuff to that effect are operating on 15 to 19 gallons of gas, where 5 gallons of gas is like a quarter tank of gas. I'm riding with 10 gallons, 20 gallons of gas. I got a bunch of gas in a truck. I I have found on Temu that you can put a 20-gallon shit's gonna be heavy, but you can put a 20-gallon gas can in the trunk of your car with a hose on it that you can just and have your own little portable gas station in the trunk of your car. So knowing this for it costs more money than it costs to get you a 5 gallon gas can from Walmart, but knowing that you have a 20-gallon gas can in the trunk of your car with a mechanical pump on that motherfucker, where you can just take it off the hook and stick it in the thing and dump the gas into the car, my dude, that's me all day. So I got a full tank of gas and a full tank of gas in the trunk. I probably could top myself off twice with the gas that's in the trunk. And the smart way to do something like that is to put the gas can in the trunk first, then fill that son bitch up at the gas station. Because picking up 20 gallons of gas and trying to shove it in the trunk is not practical. Now, I also understand that trying to get your spare tire out is going to be a challenge, but you're not going to have a solution for every problem, right? Either someone may need help, and hopefully, if I'm stuck, someone will help me. That's what people call karma. If any event that you have extra and you can share it with somebody else, and they're supposed to be able to pass that forward, and hopefully, if you're in a situation where you help somebody and now you need help, then they can come and help you. He said the problem is her. Yeah, that's where most of men's problems come from. At least the first 99 of them, at least. But for the problems of missing deadlines due to workload and interruptions, a list might begin awkwardly but quickly grow. So work longer hours makes no sense. It's the obvious but likely unsustainable solution. Talk to my manager about my workload. Direct but requires courage. Propose a new process for handling project intake. Proactive addresses the root cause. Block out deep work time in my calendar and wear headphones, which is a practical, immediate action, as long as the boss doesn't prohibit you from having headphones on the floor. Delegate some of my lower priority tasks to my subordinates. Uh, Research time management techniques like the Pomodoro Pomodoro method, suggesting a team meeting to establish quiet hours in the office. As the list grows, a suffocating feeling of powerlessness is often replaced by a sense of agency and creativity. And this is the feeling of exercising a mental muscle that may have been dormant for an extensively period of time. And after brainstorming, you evaluate the options. And the best solutions are often a combination of a small, tangible, and consistent action, something that doesn't quite require a lot of effort, but if done more frequently, would provide a lot more solutions. Like, for example, if you have bottled waters in the fridge, having somebody refill the bottles of water as they use them. The person who uses the most bottled water should put more bottled waters in the fridge. That allows you to keep a surplus in the fridge so everybody gets cold water, but it shouldn't just be one person's responsibility. If multiple people are going to the fridge to get water, all it takes is for whoever takes something out. If you take one out, put two back until the fridge is full. If you take two out, put three back until the fridge is full. And that way there's always plenty, right? It doesn't take much effort. Replace what you use. Because if not, eventually there will be nothing left. Michael says sharing one vehicle with two serial killers not a good idea. I don't know. I don't know. I actually think that that's more efficient, to be honest. Think about it like this, Mike. Uh, if that was your goal, and there's two of y'all in the car, wouldn't y'all be able to pull off the scary movie method where y'all both wear the same costume, once at the back door and once at the front door? So they'll run out the back and get got by the person in the back door, only looking at the same Donald Trump face mask. Because you know when people commit crimes, they use the president faces. You ain't never seen nobody walk into no bank and not in the last 20 years, just blackface. They go into the bank with a Reagan mask, a Bill Clinton mask. These days, they're not going to be walking in with a Donald Trump mask. Donald Trump mask with a manga hat on. This is a taxation. That's what All right, back to the main point. You guys might start a conversation with your manager while also implementing personal time management strategies, where the little things that you can do at your desk until you can get things done with upper management is a two-step process. So no one idea is a completely stupid idea or a completely unrealistic idea. It might be unrealistic on its own, or it might not be efficient on its own, but partnered with other ideas, it might actually be a fantastic strategy, a fantastic process. You can't play chess only using your pawns. You can't play chess only using your back row neither. But a combination of the right combination of both gives you the capabilities of being more successful. And this structured process provides a framework where you go from feeling lost to actually having your situation under control. Now you are learning the grammar of effective action, moving from simply identifying a problem to actively shaping a solution. A structured method provides essential tools, but true mastery comes from creativity. So, to invent new and better solutions, you must learn to go beyond linear steps and adapt an unorthodox mindset designed to shatter assumptions. One powerful concept is lateral thinking, a term coined by Edward de Bono. Instead of simply logical A to B thinking, lateral thinking involves approaching a problem from an unusual angle. The logical question is, how can I manage all these interruptions? The lateral question is, what if the goal isn't to manage interruptions, but to make them unnecessary by creating a better information sharing system. This slight shift can change everything. Another technique is anti conventional thinking, which involves actively rejecting the most obvious solutions to see what else is possible. Because as soon as you accept a solution to a problem, everybody stops trying to resolve the problem because they figure the problem is solved. Pocket a fantastic idea, put it off to the side, and keep looking for more unconventional ways to make the situation more effective. If the conventional solution to low team morale is a company sponsored happy hour, the anti conventional approach might be to ask, what if we gave everyone an extra paid day off to pursue a personal project? Think of the difference here. If you're already going to be paying everybody to get wasted and have a good time in a public place to build camaraderie, why not simply give everybody an extra paid day off so that they can get their personal affairs in order and get their ass back to work and focus? They would have job loyalty because with all the frustration that's happened this past week, y'all are taking y'all behinds home, get your stuff together, come back on Monday with all your ducks in a row. And you're getting a paid day off that is not negatively impacting your PTO days, your vacation days, or your 6 days. When your boss say go home, I'll see you on Monday with a better attitude. I'll see you on Tuesday because I'm getting a 3 day weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday with a better attitude. Wait, I got an extra day off. I'll see you on Wednesday with a better attitude. I got a 4 day off weekend this week. The cost to the company is going to be the same. However, the improvement of the behavior of the employees will be different. The goal is to break free from difficult thinking. You can also use a what if scenario game to flip core assumptions. What if I had half the time to do my work? What would I absolutely have to cut? And this forces prioritizations. What if this problem wasn't a problem at all, but an opportunity, right? This is the most powerful refrain. A budget cut isn't just a crisis, it is an opportunity to innovate and become more efficient. A project failure isn't just a loss, it's an opportunity to learn what your customers truly want. These techniques develop cognitive flexibility, training the brain to get out of its ruts and forge new pathways. Problems are no longer seen as terrifying roadblocks, but as interesting puzzles. This builds a deep faith in your ability to handle whatever life throws at you, not because you have the answers, but because you have the skills to find the answers. This is a form of wealth not one person can ever take away from you. For most of life, we assume success leads to happiness. The common belief is that once you achieve a certain level of wealth or status, contentment will follow. The science of positive psychology shows this is backwards. Happiness often precedes success and is a primary driver of it. Research by Sean Anker, author of The Happiness Advantage, shows that a positive brain is 31% more productive, and that optimistic salesperson outsells their peers by a significant margin. When we feel happy, our brains literally function better. We become more creative, see more possibilities, and are dramatically better at solving problems. I've come to find one of the best ways to tackle major problems is to first and foremost go rest, take a nap, stop thinking about it for a while, just calm your nerves, and then when you wake up, make that the first thing you try to cover. More solutions are done when you're not already overstressed about the problem, which is one of the reasons why I tell you guys to detach yourself from the conflict, calm down, regroup, and then approach the conflict from a third person perspective. How do we solve the existing problem? Not your fault versus my fault versus his fault or her fault. When you're in a bad mood, your thinking narrows, typically to the minimalisticness of, I'm going to kick that other person's ass. When you're feeling good, your mind opens up. A happy brain is a more resourceful brain, and this creates a powerful self reinforcing upward spiral. Here's how it works: engaging in problem solving, if actively trying to solve a meaningful problem, gives you a sense of purpose and control. Studies show problem solving skills are significant predictors of life satisfaction. With small wins and positive emotions, each small success generates deep and resonates feelings of accomplishment and competence, which is what we learned from our video game years. Enhanced brain functions has these positive emotions fueling your creativity, broadening your thinking, and building resilience. With more success, there's more happiness because as your skills improve, you achieve more wins, and which those wins will generate more happiness, which further fuels your ability to strive for more wins. This is the upward spiral of well being, the exact opposite of the hedonic treadmill, or it's hedonic, hedonic treadmill. That's what it's called. The treadmill is a chase for external rewards with diminishing returns. So you're looking for those fantastic top of the line rewards with very little return. The upward spiral is an internal engine where growth begets happiness, which begets more growth. Money is rigid, it only works where things are for sale, or in some situations, people. Problem solving skills are adaptable, they apply everywhere, even in situations where money doesn't work. Not all the time can money get you out of a hostage situation, but a good negotiator will help some of the people survive. A life built on this ability cultivates true self sufficiency, rooted in the knowledge that you have the internal resources to face uncertainty. Problem solving in an action is a framework for success. Imagine facing catastrophic crises, a major career setback, failed project, sudden market shifts, totaled car, injured family member. The old ways of thinking is reliant on status or financial quick fixes. And this would be to engage in damage control, assign blame, and try to restore the previous status quo, right? So it's somebody's fault. Somebody's getting fired, and then somebody else is getting bought off. We're going to make this go away. This approach is driven by fear and focused on mitigating loss. But with a problem solver's mindset, the entire framework changes. Instead of hiding the problem, you would define it with unvarnished truth. for everyone involved. You would reframe the central question away from fear and towards opportunity. What if this crisis is the best thing that has ever happened to you or the people in your group? You would apply the tools that you need to succeed, those five whys to dig for the root cause, moving beyond surface failure to find systemic issues like a culture of compliancy or a loss of customer focus. You would engage in anti conventional thinking, asking what would our competition pray we don't do right now? You would have just used lateral thinking to redefine the very nature of your work or your goals. This process replaces panic with a buzz of creative energy. It fosters vulnerability, accountability, and collaborations. The solution that emerges may be radical: a career pivot, a redesigned product, a complete change in strategy. It may feel like a gamble, but the decision is driven not by fear, but by a creative and strategic response to a deep understanding of the problems. The true victory isn't just surviving a crisis, it's the discovery that your self worth is not tied to a job title or a stock price or an uninterpreted record of success. It's tied to your proven ability to face chaos, pick up a whiteboard marker, and begin drawing a new map. The resolution is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can solve problems with your mind or solve them on paper and take what you put on paper and apply it to real world applications. We have been conditioned in our society to only chase wealth, believing it will bring us the freedom that we're looking for, only to discover that true freedom isn't the ability to buy whatever you want, it's the ability to create whatever you need. Doesn't mean that it isn't good to have a little bit of capital on the side to get the things that you do want, but you have to be able to know how to navigate the things that you need. The opposite of poverty isn't always what you think, because most people think the opposite of poverty is wealth, but that's not true. The opposite of poverty is having enough, because poverty is defined as not having enough resources to sustain. The opposite of not having enough resources to sustain is having enough resources to sustain, not having more resources than you can use in a lifetime. That is not the opposite of poverty. But the opposite of unhappiness isn't going to always be simply pleasure, because you can get pleasure and stay unhappy, but you can remove unhappiness with fulfillment. The skill of problem solving, the patience to define the issue, the courage to find the root cause, and the creativity to imagine new solutions are the foundation of a well lived life. Building this mindset is a practice. It starts with small everyday problems. Instead of getting frustrated when something breaks, get curious. If it's broke, try to fix it. Treat it like an operation. Somebody who has a life threatening illness requires a life threatening surgery. Worst case scenario, they die anyway, right? Something breaks, try to fix it. Take it apart. What's the worst you can do to something that's already broken besides break it more? If it's already broke, bro, take it apart. See if you can fix it. If you can fix it, guess what skill set you got now? Fixing stuff like that. It gives you something to do. Use the five whys. Instead of getting into the same argument with a loved one, try seeing the issue from a completely new angle, not just looking at it from their point of view. Let's just observe this from an outside looking in situation. Let's observe it from an inside looking out situation. Let's take me and you out of the equation and put Jack and Jill in this equation and see where the situation goes. Because you know that when Jack fell down the hill, so did Jill. They were in it together. So you have to treat every challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity to practice your craft. The ultimate security in life doesn't come from a number in a bank account. It comes from the unshakable belief in your own ability to meet the world with all its messy, unpredictable problems and know that you have what it takes to find a way through it. That is a wealth that never diminishes. That is a happiness you can build yourself with. So, a question for you: what's one problem, bigger or smaller, that you solved at least in the last week or two, which gave you a greater sense of accomplishment than any amount of money could? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's learn from each other because as you tell your story, you'll come to find that you're not alone. Somebody else may have experienced something similar, more drastic, less experienced. Either way, starting a community, being able to get things out, you're able to brainstorm. And the best part about brainstorming online is that the anonymousness of our communications, you are in a network of individuals that are not directly in your personal network, which is fantastic, where you can brainstorm with a bunch of people who have nothing to do with you, where their non biased recommendations will not be to sabotage your success. It'll be to aid you in your concerns. And you don't have to listen to what everybody says, but if you take everybody's information under advisement, compare the largest quantity of repetitive responses, and then think of your own responses, you will find yourself finding a solution that fits you and your situation to the satisfaction of application. Now, I want to say thank you guys for coming to the show. Ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you guys this information to aid y'all in becoming higher value men. If you make better decisions in your personal life, you will find less decisions that negatively impact your finances. And then you will have more success from your professional life, your investment life. If you are capable of making more capital from your professional life, your investment life, you will have more financial freedom for your personal life. If you are utilizing your decision making skills to aid you in making better decisions that does not require capital involvement, you take less of your investments and put it towards resolving your problems. Ladies, this information is not exclusive to the men. You ladies can utilize this information in the same fashion and make yourselves higher value women. The goal is to proactively find the things in the life that you do not find satisfactory and then put forth the effort to make changes inside of the things that you can control. If you put effort into your life to make positive change for everything you dislike about your life, everything you dislike about you, that is within your control of changing. You will find yourself in a happier position because you will have proactively changed all of the things that made you unhappy, which leads you to be happier, which leads you to be more successful, which leads you to be more driven. Instead of wallowing in self pity in a woe is me, it's society against me, you should be able to keep yourself in a position where you can admit where your lack of action sometimes leads you to have a lack of success. You can admit that a lack of effort can sometimes lead to more problems than had you gotten up and done something about it. Sometimes it is what it is, and that's the way it's always been, is not good enough. And you need to proactively brainstorm ways to make this better. So, with that being said, make sure that you guys remember that tomorrow we have questions and comments from the fans. So, we're going to be dealing with all of you guys. Special shout out to you guys that are watching us on Twitch, and extra special shout out to you guys that are watching us on Twitter. If you guys have questions, if you guys got comments, feel free to throw them into the comment section because, likewise, we all have an option to put our opinions out there. And I'd like to hear what you guys think. So I want to thank you guys for giving me the time that you have for tonight. Thank you for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.